How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. We got a lot to talk about here on the show today. In the final segment of the show, David Lagana is going to be joining us. We'll be talking about the Crockett Cup. And I'm not talking about the Crockett Cup from the 80s. I'm talking about the Crockett Cup that is coming up this weekend. David Lagana on to talk about that. Give you the lineup, teams, all of that fun stuff coming up later on in the program. In the first two segments, we had a lot to talk about from the last couple of days. Last night was SmackDown, and a lot of stuff happened on SmackDown. Are you aware? I was not aware. Are you aware that we are still in the middle of the Superstar Shakeup? They built it up so big for Raw a week ago, like, oh my God, it's Raw, Superstar Shakeup, everybody tune in. Instead, we've now been in the middle of the Superstar Shakeup for 4 straight shows now. Moving to SmackDown, they announced Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers. More individuals, I guess, jumping ship. I don't know what's going on, but they did follow up on the Andrade-Finn Balor match by having Finn Balor win, so apparently that feud is over. And they announced that Becky 2 Belts will be defending 2 belts at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. She will be facing Charlotte for the SmackDown title, and she will be facing Lacey Evans for the Raw title. So if I had to make a prediction this far out, my prediction would be that Becky beats Lacey Evans, and then she goes on and she beats Charlotte Flair, and after both matches she is exhausted, and so the women Money in the Bank winner cashes in and beats her, whoever that might be. So, yes, the anti-Charlotte crowd already flooding my email and text message bin with all sorts of different emails. It's all her fault. It's all Charlotte's fault. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. Roman Reigns also facing the Drifter at Money in the Bank. There's a lot going on. We'll kick it off after the break. Wrestling Observer Live. Well, we are back here on the show. Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. The final segment of the show, David Lagana is going to be joining us. I am astounded by my inbox here today. Astounded.
You seem a little distracted there, boss.
Yesterday, it was funny. Everybody was sending in how Charlotte pushed the baby into the well, or she was responsible
kidnapped
for
the Lindbergh baby.
This and that. But, I mean, today people are back. They're really mad again. Here we go, this person says. Is Charlotte ever happy? How much and for how long is she going to keep going back, sucking out chances from other workers?
What?
Yes, it's her fault. They are putting her in this position. Can't believe Charlotte is back in the title picture. Oh, but then again, she is good old Rick's precious little daughter, so she is handed everything. What else do we have here? People upset about... A lot of upset WWE fans about the product. I agree that television generally sucks, but don't see it something it's getting angry about. I'm resigned to the fact that WWE still sometimes catches lightning in a bottle, in spite of itself, and enjoy when that happens. Well, that's not Charlotte-related, but... No. Why is Ric Flair's girl getting another match for the belt? Jesus. Is 9-time champ not enough for that entitled... And then he just puts 5 asterisks, which is not 5-star match. So, yeah, people are very, very angry. And Charlotte's getting another match.
Almost irrationally angry.
Stop defending Charlotte. I know Charlotte is great, but all she needs is more Botox, more makeup, another plastic surgery, more silicone, and 10 more title reigns. You're defending her as ludicrous.
Listen to that D-bag. Oh, I bet you look good, pal.
I'm just astounded. Like, you all know it's fake, right? Like, this is not Charlotte calling in a favor. Not to mention, you know what's funny about this?
What?
If it were like Roman Reigns' daughter or John Cena's daughter, you know what I'm saying? Somebody who they actually pushed and protected for years and years and years. We're talking Ric Flair. Like, I mean, they used him.
Nobody took more L's than Ric Flair.
My God, this guy got beaten like a drum. And, yeah, he's respected, and he got that great send-off afterwards. But, I mean, it's
he had to be buried in the desert to do so.
Dude, I mean, it's just crazy. Just crazy. It's just
Are these
nuts.
Sasha Banks fans on top of it just to ice that cake, or what?
Charlotte sounds like the Roman Reigns of the women's division, this person says. Charlotte is going to be a 59-time champion. This person's disgusted. Charlotte blew up the challenger, this person said. What does that mean? She blew up the challenger. What are you talking about?
The NASA challenger.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Do people think Charlotte is not a great wrestler? I guess this is one of our rare Charlotte defenders here. I think she's incredible. Yeah, she actually is an extremely good wrestler.
She's in the upper tier there, yes.
She's very, very good.
Why isn't there no outrage over like Lacey Evans being pushed too fast into the picture against Becky? Why is Charlotte getting all of this today? Why?
Because people don't like Charlotte, and they have fallen for the storyline that, honest to God, the fans actually created the storyline that she is a favorite of management and she's always given unfair opportunities. So they actually turned that into a storyline, and now there is a subset of the audience that is falling for this, much like they fell for the storyline that Brock doesn't want to go to work and was holding the title hostage, which was as much of an angle as any angle there's ever been in the history of pro wrestling. Now they're falling for this one, and they're very, very upset. It's astounding to me. How about we get upset about the fact that you have to watch Roman Reigns face the Drifter as a top match in Money in the Bank?
Yeah,
I saw that match live. It sucked. Okay?
But you didn't have Shane.
How about that you have to watch Becky face Lacey Evans for the Raw title at the pay-per-view? I mean, I'll bet you good money of the Becky Charlotte match and the Becky Lacey Evans match. I guarantee you the Charlotte match is going to be better. And there's no guarantee that Charlotte is going to be beating Becky. I still believe that Becky's going to beat both of them, and then she's going to be exhausted, and somebody's going to cash in Money in the Bank and beat Becky.
Man, just wait until Billie Kay pins either Kairi Sane or Asuka clean in the middle of the ring. Imagine what people are going to do then, because that's coming. Something's got to happen. At some point, the Iconics, in theory, they would need to get a win at some point over these women. So that's going to be something when that happens too. So just be ready for that.
All right, caller, you're on the air. What's going on?
This is Jim from Virginia. How y'all doing this
Yes,
evening?
Jim.
The perfect person.
Yes.
He's talking about Charlotte Flair.
I am.
I am very pro Charlotte Flair.
Oh, man, you're going to get it, dude.
She's great. She's fantastic in the ring. I mean, how many times... I mean, every now and then she'll have a bad match, but usually 9 times out of 10, she'll have a great match on TV or at the pay-per-view.
You're right. You're correct.
Oh, and you're talking about who might run in and cash in on Becky? I still got this feeling in my head that it may be Alexa Bliss again.
Could be Alexa or could be Mandy Rose.
Hey, Jim, got a question for you. NWA World Women's Title match. Jazz now out for the Crockett Cup. They've replaced her with Santana Garrett against Allison Kay / Sienna. Who do you take?
Who's going to win?
Yeah.
It's hard to say, Mike.
Take a pick. Go out on a limb.
Flip the coin.
Santana's team.
There you go.
All right, there you go. Well, hey, Jim, I want to thank you very much for the call. We got 1 million people on the line here. I really appreciate it. Oh, la, la, la. This person says, I like Charlotte. Well, there's one. There's one for you. This person says, after Nia wins the women's Money in the Bank, she'll challenge for the men's belt. Well, she's not doing anything. She's double ACL surgery, so she's not back anytime soon. Person says, Charlotte's great, but they pointed out she's getting too many shots, and it worked. Bayley got her biggest pop in a long time, standing up and demanding a shot. Plus, Becky is saying what we're feeling, so creative knows what we want to see, and they still don't give it to us. It doesn't make any sense. What do you mean they know what we want to see? They're not giving it to us.
I was going to say...
They gave you Becky with 2 belts.
I don't know. I want to see Ember Moon, so not speaking for everybody here.
They gave you Becky. She's got 2 belts right now. She's wrestling twice on all of these pay-per-views. They did give you what you want. Now you don't want Charlotte. Is that what you want? What you want is to not want Charlotte? Is that what everyone's saying here? Well, we'll see what happens. See what happens at this pay-per-view. I think Becky looked like a geek on SmackDown last night, this person said. She agreed to defend her title 2 times in one night at Money in the Bank, where someone can claim the briefcase and cash in on her. Instead of defending the title potentially twice, you will potentially have to defend it 3 times. That's correct. That is what's going to happen at the pay-per-view.
Ballsy. An agent would not suggest it, but it is the land of pro wrestling where the babyface is out there and as the white knight trying to save the world and take everything onto their broad man shoulders as Becky Lynch is trying to do. Will that work out? Probably not well for her if we know pro wrestling, but still a ballsy, fan favorite, good guy move.
This person here says, we just had an earthquake at my house. It is all Charlotte's fault.
Well,
well, I hope you're all right at your house. Is Charlotte worse than Hogan backstage? She's always in the title picture. It's just incredible. It's incredible.
Anybody got any Andrade jokes, too, to add to that?
I don't even think half of these are jokes. Like, when Bayley came out last night, I totally figured out what's going on. And that is that the fans will always get behind whoever they feel is not getting a fair shot. And they're always going to turn on the people that they feel are getting too many opportunities. And so the companies figure that out, and so that's how they're generating heat with Charlotte, and that's how they're going to try to create another babyface, maybe with Bayley. Bayley was awesome last night, but they beat Bayley, and of course everyone's going to think it's because Bayley is being buried, but the reality is it's probably the first step in trying to get her over by making you, the fans, think that she's not getting opportunities because Charlotte's getting opportunities. Like the lines between real and fake have been blurred. There are a lot of fans falling for it right now. It blows my mind. It's 2019. There's more access to information than ever before. And people they can't figure out what's real and what's not real. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. This is a fun one I got to address here. This person says, didn't they move 4 people to essentially keep Charlotte happy in the draft?
What?
I've been hearing this for days. They believe that they undid the Superstar shakeup and they moved Andrade and Zelina over to SmackDown to keep Charlotte happy. And because Zelina got moved, they moved Aleister Black because they're also a couple, and therefore Charlotte got 4 people moved just to be kept happy. That's the latest conspiracy theory.
I wonder if she also got Jinder and the Singh brothers moved.
But now, let me tell you something, everybody. Listen. Stop for a second and think about what actually happened in the draft, okay? What actually happened in the draft is that they split up Charlotte and Andrade, okay? That's where this started. This didn't start with them keeping them together to keep her happy. You think they didn't know that Charlotte and Andrade were dating before they did the Superstar shakeup? Of course they did. You think they didn't think that they'd be unhappy to be on different brands and traveling to different cities and not being together anymore? Of course they knew they would be unhappy. But you know what? They didn't care, and they drafted them to separate brands. That's how this started.
Time out.
So hold on a second. I want everyone to think about that for a second. It started with the company splitting them up, okay? If they were doing everything they could to keep her happy, that's not how the story would have started. They would have both just been put on the same brand. They split them up, and then you know what happened? There were a bunch of people online that pitched a fit. They could not believe that this company was splitting people up in the Superstar Showcase. And so as a result of this blowback from the fans, they put them back together on SmackDown. That's what happened. It was not Charlotte being unhappy and having 4 people switched as a result. It was you people, not saying anyone particular that's listening to this, but it was blowback from the fans for them splitting up couples. Because the reality is, everybody, even though I'm flooded with these texts and everything here from people that hate Charlotte, in fact, Charlotte has a tremendous number of fans who went nuts when they found out that her and Andrade were being split up. And they complained incessantly about it. And so the company put them back together as a result of fan outcry. That's what happened, not the other way around.
When you say it like that, it leads one to believe that they intentionally were splitting those two up.
Well, they did. That's what happened.
They did, but was that just a consequence of when you rewrite a show, you're not thinking, you're moving names around, and Vince maybe bubbled up, and people
But here's the problem,
up.
Mike. Every other couple stayed together.
I know,
moved
but was
the
it,
Usos
was it
and
one
Naomi.
of those last-minute decisions, though?
To me, when every single solitary couple gets moved, except Charlotte and her boyfriend, I mean, there's no way that was an accident. There's no way they didn't know those guys were together and think about that.
What is, though, but...
I don't know why. I'm just telling you what actually happened.
Well, like, Taryn Terrell and Drew McIntyre had issues that bubbled. Like, I don't see why Andrade and Charlotte Flair would be something that WWE, someone in WWE, of all people, would be going... I think we need to F with them today. Like, that's where this part of that story, because everything you're saying is obviously, I believe, is correct at the bottom line of just, this happened and it was corrected. But when it's said in that way, it's like, okay, so what is the deal then? What is the issue of why they would choose to knowingly break those two up, knowing it was going to get blowback from not only the people involved and the friends of the people involved behind the scenes, but then also this blowback online, which they've been getting a lot of blowback online, which is how we ended up with the main events that we did for WrestleMania.
Dude, you got me.
Huh?
Hey, this person here goes... Talking about Charlotte and using her pull. He goes, hopefully she can use her pull to get Andrade a push. Dude, they've been dating forever. If she had pull, they'd have done something with Andrade. They haven't done jack with Andrade.
Well, I mean, they
had that brief feud with Ray, but I mean, he's not getting a push. He's not a top guy right now. She has no pull to get Andrade a push. There is no pull from Charlotte Flair. This is an imaginary storyline, everybody, for crying out loud. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's up?
Yes, this is the president and CEO of Eden San Antonio Productions.
Oh my God! What a segue. Yes,
and before people get excited, no, I'm not coming out of retirement. I'm mainly calling because I have business. Because
you're not calling about Charlotte.
No, I actually am not calling about Charlotte. Believe it or not.
Wow.
I'm calling about the F4W Wrestling Observer Vegas convention that's coming up Memorial Weekend in conjunction with Double or Nothing Weekend and StarCast.
Yep.
And bigger than Double or Nothing and bigger than StarCast is a wrestling show called Po Dare that will be May 24th at Friday at noon at 12 p.m. featuring some of the best international women wrestlers in the world, like the Rev Pro Women's Champion Zoe Lucas, the best wrestler in Australia, Shazza McKenzie, the Baldy Badass Shotzi Blackheart, the Sinister Sweethearts, and a whole list of other wrestlers on the show.
Is Charlotte going to be there?
A one-on-one match. Is who?
Charlotte.
No, but I am in negotiations with Sasha Banks, but she hasn't got back to me yet.
Okay. All right. We can only hope.
And I also have a match that will blow everyone's mind. The Disco Inferno will go one-on-one with Sessions Moff Martina. And I do have one more spot open, and I'm hoping I can finally convince you. I tried doing it all weekend, but you were giving me the cold shoulder. But, Brian, I need you. I want you on my show.
On Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah, May 24th.
No, it's not happening.
FSW Arena.
Dude, I got so...
Why not?
Well, first off, I'm doing StarCast that whole weekend. And so, like, there's just no way. There's too much stuff that I have to do that weekend. There's the Q&A, there's StarCast, there's Double or Nothing. I have no time to do a match. And not only that, I have a match Friday with the Jungle Boy. And then the week after that, I have Marco Stunt. So
God.
my biggest rival and this Jungle Boy fella, there's no match you could offer me where I would be able to work that show. Just put it that way.
He's going to be too tired from talking at StarCast.
Hell yeah, it's a lot. Hey, you ever tried talking for an hour, Mike? You have. You know how hard it is.
Great.
Mike, he doesn't know what he's talking about. They talk to Dave, not him.
Oh, get out of here.
But
good point.
Brian, please give me 24 hours. Let me call back tomorrow with a name, and if that name's not good enough for you, that's fine. But I want you on the show. I need you on the show, and I think I have an idea that will get you on the show tomorrow.
I bet you don't have an idea, but I'll give you 24 hours.
All right. So I'll call back tomorrow, and I guarantee you Bryan Alvarez will be on the show.
I can't wait. All right. Call me tomorrow. It better be Charlotte or I'm not doing it. Hung up on him. It's the only person I'll face is Charlotte. If he can get me Charlotte Flair on his all-women's show, I will consider doing that match. But it's a week before Marco Stunt. I'm in intense training for this no-holds-barred match, so come on. Get out of here, Ed. All right. No wonder Becky seems to have cooled off so much. It looks as if the Becky chants might have been more influenced by Charlotte hate than love for the man. Well, she shouldn't cool off then, because they're still feuding. Right?
Oh, yes. I don't think that was the only reason why they were chanting her name, but sure.
Let's talk about some of the good stuff on SmackDown last night, like that Kevin Owens turn on Kofi Kingston. The only thing I didn't like about it was so fast. Like, well, they literally just put Kofi and Xavier and Kevin together as the New Day. Last week they did it. They already broke them up. And it's not like the pay-per-view is next weekend. They got 4 full weeks until the next pay-per-view. I think they could have milked this for at least another week.
You know what? You're right, but I'll take 4 full weeks of build-up between those two to get to that pay-per-view. Kevin Owens is justified in his mind, like any good heel is. I would assume, and we'll have to see the way this thing plays out. But, you know, Kevin Owens has always talked about his kid, whether he has been babyface or heel. He does it for his kid, and he wants to feed his kid. And you took food out of his mouth indirectly because of Kofi Mania. How great was that? I came back. I was trying to be a nice guy. You saw the videos, and that's what I got for being a nice guy. So I played with you. I'm happy for you, Kofi. You got your big moment. You got your big moment in front of your kids. Now I'm going to kick your teeth in and take that title away. I'm going to beat up your little friend along the way. And guess what? Your big friend, he's not around to help you out. So we'll see which direction they go. That's the most basic thing I could think of. And either way, no matter what direction they go, unless the story's going to be really awful, it's Kofi Kingston and Kevin Owens. So I am more than fine with this.
Bert says, could the oversaturation of information, sometimes false information, lead to the challenges for the fan base in determining what is scripted? Yes.
That's everything. That's actually everything.
It is everything. I'm old. Mike is much older. But when we were young, in the infancy of the internet, everybody on the internet knew, don't believe anything that you read on the internet. Because the internet is such that anybody can write anything, whether it's true or not. And so when we were young, if you saw something on the internet, you immediately questioned it. And you tried to find an alternate source of information where you could determine whether or not this was true or not. Now it's totally different. You see a headline, there's so many people, they see any headline on their Facebook timeline. They don't even read the article. They see the headline, and that's a fact for them. Whether it's wrestling or anything else, they see a headline on their timeline, it's a fact. And they get outraged about it, or they get excited about it, and they just believe everything written on the internet. It's mind-blowing to me. Back in a moment, David Lagana, Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Also joined by David Lagana here, talking all sorts of things, including the Crockett Cup coming up. And we already got texts about you, Dave. Tell Dave Lagana, this person says, the NWA video with Nick versus Colt this week was great.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad they like it. Hopefully they'll check out the one with Nick and Marty we put up this morning. So I was up till 2 a.m. doing it. So I appreciate the compliment.
Oh, God, up till 2 a.m. I know those nights. Do you even know if it's any good at 2 a.m., or do you just, like, give up and go, God, it's 2 a.m.?
Well, it's not this 2 a.m. that's the problem. It's the 2 a.m.s before it. Last night's 2 a.m. is finishing it. The 2 a.m. the night before and the 2 a.m. the night before that is the really hard one. So as I told somebody this week, I put way more time into this than probably about 99.9% of people who make content in wrestling. So I'm kind of a perfectionist as far as making sure the story's right, and so that's where I put all my energy.
Well, the top matches, by the way, everybody, are Marty Scurll versus Nick Aldis for the NWA World Heavyweight title, and Willie Mack versus Colt Cabana for the NWA National Championship. Those are the two big singles matches. And then, obviously, the Crockett Cup and a women's title match as well, which we quizzed one of our listeners on, David. who was going to win that match and become the champion. What happened with Jazz?
She, as she tweeted, she had a medical issue that she's working through, and we worked with her on timing of it, and just it did not work with her being able to compete on the show.
So the title's vacant, and she will be back.
Yep, we hope that we've given her the opportunity. If whatever she is going through allows her to come back, she always has a place with us if she is medically cleared.
I'm looking at the lineup for the Crockett Cup here, and Luger and Blanchard, Bob and Takagi. Actually, this might be the wrong one.
I think you might have gotten
that might have been 86. I apologize.
You flash back to 30 years here, boss.
I apologize. Well, it's funny because actually in the legitimate Crockett Cup, even though I'm making a joke, it is the Rock and Roll Express. They're
true.
in this Crockett Cup.
Yep. How can you pass that up as an opportunity?
Dude, the Rock and Roll Express versus the Briscoes.
Feels so natural for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, and by the way, the potential of the Rock and Roll Express against Nagata and Kojima or PCO and Brody, I mean, this is a fantasy booker's dream.
Well, this past July, I had a match with the Rock and Roll Express, myself and Filthy Tom, and it was a very interesting locker room meeting as they explained repeatedly to Filthy Tom that this was fake. It's not like UFC, and they went over all of the things that they were going to do and not going to do, and it was very entertaining, but at the end of the day, it was a really fun match. And I mean, if you could find a way to film the Rock and Rolls backstage with the Briscoes, as an Easter egg, you don't want to kill the business or anything like that, but just them discussing what's going on with the Briscoes, and it'd just be incredible. That'd be worth the price of admission right there.
Well, the dirty little secret that I will share with you two, because I've known you both a very long time, we shoot everything.
Good.
Everything. So maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes from now, we'll put it out. No, we have, Lightning One we have a whole documentary and All In that just we haven't made. I hired two really great content creators. One who's coming to Crockett Cup, Kenny Johnson, who did the PCO documentary, and he's done a lot of great stuff. And he's sort of been my mentor in this change, because obviously when I was working at various other wrestling companies, I wasn't doing a lot of what I'm doing now. So he's really been a real mentor for me. And so anytime he'd come create with us, so he'll be, I'm going to have him follow the Rock and Roll Express. Now I will tell you will not see what you hope to see quickly out of it, but we try to, Billy and I's approach is, there's multiple plays with this. And, I'm telling you, the greatest documentary to ever be told is what has happened from June of last year till November 1st of this coming year.
Teams for this Crockett Cup this year, we got the Briscoes, the Rock and Roll Express, they're facing off. Villain Enterprises versus Kojima and Nagata, this is Block A. Block B, Flip Gordon and Bandito versus Stuka Jr. and Guerrero Maya Jr. And Crimson and Jax Dane will face the winners of a wild card battle royal earlier in the evening.
Yep. There will be 7 teams. Again, I'm breaking huge news here for you. And by huge, I mean there will be the old lucky 7. There'll be 7 teams. I'm not going to build hyperbole to expect, the Road Warriors are not in it. It's sort of the way we're positioning this wild card battle royal. It's like the 16th seed in the NCAA tournament. This is it's almost like a play-in game for a lot of people that you wouldn't think would have an opportunity. And if these talents win, they're going to have to win 4 matches basically to win the Crockett Cup.
Well, as I look at the 1986 brackets, I mean, it's possible that you could get the Garvins. I'm pretty sure they're still available. And Luger and Blanchard, actually, in some ways, I mean, they're around. I don't know if they would be available to wrestle, but, I mean, it is possible there could be a team from the original. Yeah,
I'm going to announce some of the teams. I'm trying not to raise hopes with it because it is not a hope. I don't want to tease anything like that because that's not what this is about. That's why I try to position it like it's the 16th seed. So there might be not Gonzaga, pick like a William and Mary type of team, and there might be a St. Mary State and all that stuff. So that's the expectation I want people to lean towards.
So the show coming up on Saturday, it is going to be airing all over the place, actually. If you are an Honor Club subscriber, it's going to be on Honor Club. It's going to be available on traditional pay-per-view. as well as Fight TV. And as a business question here, Dave.
Yeah.
So obviously WWE, they still do kind of run on pay-per-view, and they get about 20,000 buys from the people that are unable to get the WWE network for whatever reason. And it used to be that, the cable companies, there was WWE pay-per-views and there was UFC pay-per-views, and they made millions and millions and millions of dollars. Very high barrier of entry. Now, there's barely any WWE. There's no UFC. I mean, what's the barrier of entry to pay-per-view today? Is it they pay you to get on there at this point?
No, I think, they obviously, we don't have enough time to have a complete technological discussion, but, it's a completely changed thing. The fact that anyone can do pay-per-view anywhere, anytime, these legacy companies still have these channels. And by the way, a lot of people still listen to the radio, so there was always customers in places. So why not create? And so when this opportunity came to us, they said, "Do you want to put it on pay-per-view?" I said, "Why not?" I said, "What's the extra cost?" They told me the extra cost. I said, "What do you usually do?" And they said this, and it made sense. And the fact that the NWA is on pay-per-view, if you go back to what sort of shifted the Jim Crockett Promotions fortunes, it was going on pay-per-view and Vince creating Survivor Series. So just even from a historical significance, the NWA returning to pay-per-view is a fun little factoid for this event.
Sure. It also helped kill them, unfortunately.
That's what I mean. Like it's obviously I'm a big history buff, and I try to put pieces of that in our thing. And we're really excited that Francis Crockett and Jackie Crockett are coming to the event. To have Crockett there and to know what pay-per-view, their attempts to go national really did for the company. And we tried to get Jim and David. I don't think they're ready, but the idea that the Crockett Cup is back in North Carolina with Magnum and Nikita and the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express and Tommy Young, like this is, somebody who grew up with the NWA. It's really cool for Billy and I to have this opportunity to put on this show. We're already, the ticket sold gross is already higher than NWA 70. We're really happy with where we're sitting. Ring of Honor has been a great partner. The production's going to be great. If you're watching this show, you're going to feel like you walked into the 1986 NWA.
Oh, I'm kind of sad David's not going to be there.
Well, but let me just say, because I am that kid that was, and I think all three of us were made in the 80s when it came to our wrestling. But, I grew up in that Mid-Atlantic area in Baltimore and Crockett Cup 87 and all that. And the 10 pounds of gold, number 51, where Nick Aldis met Harley Race before he wrestled Leland Race out there. The NWA is in a unique position in that they have such a history to wear on their shoulders as you try to move this thing forward into modern times. But I thought that meeting with Nick Aldis and Harley Race, I thought was so awesome, and I thought was something that I think everybody needs to see as far as what the NWA is trying to do in moving forward. What has it been like to make these videos, and how has your process evolved in making these things? For a guy that seems to always be out in front of these things and making video content.
I always approach, and Joe Koff and I were talking today as we talked through a business issue. We always try, at least from the NWA side, and I know they do as well, put the fans first. And, I've been extremely lucky with everybody that I've ever worked with, from Vince McMahon to, Dixie Carter, and, Billy, and everything I've seen over the last 18 years, but only I've got to see it. So I've had many times where I've been in this position where a Nick Aldis Harley Race meeting has happened, and the conversations that happened, but there was never a camera around. And Michael Hayes used to joke, "Hey, the real great show is here in the room. Why aren't we doing this?" Well, I think we all know why they don't do it. But the fact that we can do it and present it in a way that enhances the brand, and everyone's like, "Well, you guys don't own that footage," but we own the history. And people, it's mind-blowing to Billy and Nick and I when people come up and go, "I grew up with this. Thank you for what you're doing." And the fact that this asset was sitting there untouched for so long and abused, it was the girlfriend that everyone had to turn on and kick to the curb when they were done with it. For us, it's something we really cherish. So when a Harley Race, we get to with a Harley Race, the reverence, Dory Funk, Nick and I are going to Cauliflower Alley this weekend or next weekend because Nick is presenting Dory. It's to be able to do this for the history of this company And it does matter. And I think our numbers have proven it. And the good thing with us, we're not throwing a bunch of hyperbole around about how the business is going to change. We're simply honoring a brand that people love. Just like people love Toys R Us, and in 10 years, Sears will come back as something else. You know, these brands have power, and a brand is really what's needed to survive in this new changing market.
You know, it almost seems like when the whole Billy Corgan buying the rights to the NWA and everything like that, when that story first came down, it was several years ago. It was almost like, God, what is he doing? Like, is there any money to be made off of this? There was still that feeling from a decade ago about how hard it was to promote and be successful in wrestling. And now with like Fight TV and traditional pay-per-views kind of opened up, and Honor Club and the internet, it just seems like, I don't want to say it's easy to promote now, but it's certainly easier than it was a decade ago, it seems. And you know, if I would have heard that he was buying the rights of the NWA in 2005, it would have been like, this guy's out of his mind. Now it's not such a bad idea after all. There's plenty of things that you can do with this.
Well, and it's really great because people have this vibe. It's almost like that smell, like that smell that you remember when you were a kid. And people's impressions, and I think everybody that's a hardcore wrestling fan, you can pinpoint to. It's almost you picked it up as a child, and it's stuck with you. And the same with the NWA. And you know, we've been successful, and especially in Charlotte. You know, Jim Cornette. I asked Jim. I said, "Hey, Jim, you're at that show. I'm going to send a guy with an iPhone. Can you cut a 1-minute promo?" That promo, we've targeted ads to fans of Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Jim Crockett Promotions, and WCW. And I'm giving away the trade secret, which is not a trade secret, in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Virginia, of 40 to 70-year-old people that on Facebook and Instagram. And if you saw the amount of ticket click-through links, like people clicking the ticket page from that promo, that's what the business is. And instead of arguing on Twitter about stupid stuff, that's what people want. They want to feel something and then want to go to an event and pay money.
Well, stand by. We're actually going to head to a break. We'll talk more about this when we come back. Wrestling Observer Live.
You're clear.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. David Lagana is joining us. I just got to mention very quickly, it appears they're changing the name again. They are now the Viking Warriors. But anyway, David, I hope your show is better put together than this show on Monday nights. Let's plug the Crockett Cup.
Crockett Cup, Saturday, 7 p.m. You know, the tag team tournament returns. You know, we're hoping to set a pace for that this will become a yearly event. Great tag team action. I think we'll have some nice little surprise announcements to make over the last couple of days. And Nick Aldis and Marty Scurll, if you haven't watched the 10 Pounds of Gold, just go search 10 Pounds of Gold on Google or look on the NWA socials. I think it's worth everyone's time because if any match that coming off of All In, two characters who were on All In that are not in an upcoming show, they're fighting on this show, Crockett Cup. Nick and Marty deserve your attention.
That's right. You can check it out on Saturday night, April 27th, Honor Club, pay-per-view, and Fight TV. You can watch it in any of those platforms. There are two big matches for championships, the NWA World Heavyweight title, Marty Scurll, Nick Aldis, and the NWA National Championship, Willie Mack versus Colt Cabana. Also, the Crockett Cup and a women's championship match as well, Allison Kay, Santana Garrett for the NWA Women's title. And, David, I want to thank you so much for doing the show. Best of luck, and we should have you back on more often because there's obviously always things to talk about.
Always so much to do, so...
Well, thank you so much for doing the show today. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks, Mike, as always. Callers and listeners, everybody in the studio. We'll talk to you again tomorrow, Wrestling Observer Live.